And the Avalanche are 2022 Stanley Cup champions!
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cluster Puck Podcast. I sound like a mom just right there. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT network. Here at Center Ice, I am Nick. Beside me here is the greatest gift giver in the world, and I'll tell you why in just a second. I haven't seen it.
He doesn't know what it is yet, so
I don't know what it is, but behind me here, let's see if I can do this right there. My co-host here sent me a lovely gift, and I have been nothing but anxiety driven for the last however long it's gotten. Well, actually, since she said she was going to send me something.
Yeah.
Too nice.
The wrong place. So your gift has been viewing the world. It's been
Yep. So this gift has been everywhere and back. So we'll get to that here momentarily. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to the MHRT network. Our episodes most times should be more of a constant now here in the next few weeks, or Mondays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. If you like what you see here, don't forget to follow the MHRT network on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you can find them. You can also follow us specifically at Cluster Puck Avs for Twitter and Instagram, and then the Cluster Puck Podcast at Facebook, and then email is clusterpuckpodcast@gmail.com. So,
doesn't it?
What's that?
It's a mouthful of cluster pucks.
It's a cluster puck of cluster puck. What can you say? Okay. I guess by that standard, then let's.
Yes. So
Brittany asked me to open this on air. It is not tampered with. I want to have everyone know this right now. It is.
I wondered if it was like the kid who peeks and then retapes the present back up, but
no, I did not do that. Here, let me just get it out there so you can see kind of what's
it's
happening.
Not a Mercedes, but
it's not a Mercedes.
It's also not.
Yeah, my anxiety has been just through the roof.
Well, it's also
it's
not
like one of those things where like you know, it's like someone says, "Hey, by the way, they're having a surprise party for you."
I hate surprises.
And you're like, "Oh, great."
I wasn't going to say anything, but thank God I did, so that we knew.
I know, right?
Yeah, I hate it when people surprise me with stuff and I have to wait.
It feels like a book.
Yeah, I thought about that after I sent it. I was like, I should wrap that differently.
It feels like a book. So I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to show everybody. Am I in frame?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show everyone. And now the big reveal. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
You didn't.
You have to open the book.
Oh, no way. Oh, I was talking about this a couple episodes back.
Yeah. I know, and
I
that
wanted
was
to get it, and here
idea.
it is. This is Peter Baugh's.
Open the book and look through it.
Sorry. I'm okay. Looking through it. Stop it.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone.
Isn't that fun?
Oh my gosh.
Read it for Allie. I specifically told him my co-host has a wife who's a Rangers fan, so if you can. Make something work.
Please enjoy this book on the team able to hold on to its 2-0 series lead against Tampa Bay. Best Peter Baugh.
It's so good.
Me.
He is so like gracious to do that. I randomly shot him a Twitter message and I figured there's no way he's ever gonna read it. And he did. He signed him for me and mailed him to him, and I got him to. Yeah, he was just. It was super nice of him to take it, and he mailed them in like 5 minutes after he signed them. So, yeah, it was super cool.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible! Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna cry. Oh, that is
So
so nice. Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's super cool. I was like, well, that's fun because I was just gonna order it and send it from Amazon, and I was like, you know what? I've had some good things happen by just shooting my shot, and may as well. So yeah, I was super
Hey.
excited.
Oh my gosh. Allie, if you're watching, that's New York's next task is to hold on to a 2-0 series lead against Tampa.
Yep.
Once New York does that, then unfortunately we're going to have to text Peter and be like, "Hey, well, wow,
that was like
that's amazing."
when I thought it was lost in the mail, I was like, I'm not gonna message him again and have him do this again because I've already, asked for too much work for it. So I was like, please don't let this be lost.
I don't know how to express my appreciation
I'm
enough.
glad you
Thank
liked
you
it.
so much.
You're welcome.
That
I
was
still haven't
amazing.
even got to read mine yet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Well, maybe
super
we start a book club. Avalanche book club, everyone.
Yes.
Starts whenever we can get to it. We'll start
Right.
a book club of Peter
After
Baugh's
the
Force
Stanley
of
Cup
Nature.
this year.
There you go.
You, Allie, and I can be the founding members.
Wow. That's right. And she'll be the disgruntled third leg, the Rangers fan that just like, yeah, the Avalanche are good. Oh my gosh. I just can't. I don't even know what to say right now. I'm getting you back. I'm getting you back.
Well, and that's what
You best believe. Allie and I are going to come up with some mischievous plan to get you back. So you better believe reciprocation is coming your way. Thank you so much.
You're
That
welcome.
is absolutely incredible. So this episode is easily one of my favorites already. Okay. So let's get into I don't even know what to say after. I don't know how to follow this up.
Well,
We
it's
should
all
have done
good
this
stuff.
at the end of the episode so it was more
awesome.
emotional and
No, it's been a
My
great
goodness.
week. I mean, I can kick it off. My life is good. My Musketeers are winning, and the Avs are winning. Musketeers won both their games this weekend. I had a home game on Saturday that I was emceeing for, so I didn't get to watch the Kraken game until I got home, and was literally like one of those things where like you wake up to your head falling down over and over again.
Yeah.
So finally I passed out, and then I woke up from the screaming during the shootout goal, which is it's a great way to wake up. So or overtime, not shootout. Oh, shootout was Calgary, overtime goal. Yeah. So it's a good week to be a hockey fan. Unless you're a Golden Knights fan.
That it is. Okay, real quick. There is some things in the comments here that I want to say. So Allie, she says thank you, obviously. Avatar says that he got his Cluster Puck podcast t-shirt over the weekend. Obviously, we can see we got hats here. So I feel like an idiot for asking this. This is to Avatar directly if you're listening. I don't know who you are.
I always wondered if it was a person.
So reveal yourself if you could, please, because I keep saying Avatar's questions here, Avatar. It'd be nice to have a name to go with, just instead of just the Avatar name. Unless you want to remain anonymous, I won't push you on that. But I have no idea who in the world you are. But your comments are always so great, and so so we want to make sure that we give credit where credit is due. So if you want to tell us behind the scenes at DMs, that's fine, but just know that we are just being curious as to who in the world we're talking to. You'd think we'd have figured it out by now, but
I thought that I would have, but yeah, I don't know.
I had a couple of suspicions, but they all got kind of canceled out. So anyways, that was another sorry, my brain just got sidetracked. So
thanks for ordering. That's just one more thing in my life I haven't got.
I was asking what everyone was thinking. Okay. Okay. He's Ted Cruz says. This is my friend Michael says he's Ted Cruz.
Exactly
Anyways,
who we were hoping it was.
Yes, Michael. We found Ted Cruz as one of our biggest fans on the show.
Yeah, I hear.
Okay. He big Avalanche fan down there. Okay, so with the week that happened, so last time we talked, the Avalanche all of a sudden flipped a big switch, had 2 large wins, and they went now from a 2-game winning streak to a 5-game winning streak.
Mhm.
Most recent of which was that amazing shootout display. That the whole game in general was amazing.
It was
Against the Kraken.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those 3 games then real fast, and then we'll get into this weekly look ahead before All-Star break. So first things first, the game against Calgary. This was where we thought our make it or break it as far as did we actually flip a switch from being suddenly the worst team in the league to an unstoppable, a force of nature, if you will. This was that game to prove it because Calgary, they were above you. They had the playoff seed in hand. This was going to be that time of a test.
And then day of, they say, oh, and by the way, Makar's not playing.
I know, and that was the other news, the other bombshell. They said, oh, and by the way, you have to continue this winning streak without the Conn Smythe winner.
Yes. Yep. That was a tough news.
Yep. So the Avalanche go out to I think it was a 3-0 lead, and then squander 1, and then it just maintains course up until Mikko's empty net penalty, free goal. I've never seen a call
hockey, like since I was born. I've been watching the Avs for like since my dad has watched them since I was little religiously, and I've been playing hockey for over like 25 years, and I've never seen that happen. And I don't know if that's just like magic that I haven't seen it happen, but that's crazy. It was interesting to see that. It's weird when those like random instances come up when you learn a new rule, even after you've been doing hockey forever. Yeah. But good God, Zadorov. You would think that they're like buds. So geez. And that's what I always say is that
he was not friends, man. I tell you what.
No, Mikko is a more refined and polished Zadorov. So it's kind of funny that they
99% of the time he is.
Yeah.
But wow, what an interesting call though. Kind of back to what you were saying. It's like I've never seen a gimme on an empty netter, so because he had the line and then Zadorov comes and slashes him and takes away what would have been a freebie empty net goal, and the refs get together and it was a no-brainer call.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've just never seen that before. It was different. I mean, obviously that would make sense rule-wise, but
I'm curious how close you have to be to the goal to consider it like an imminent open net goal.
Yeah, or what's considered your advantage to the net, because if you have a stride up on the next guy but you're still beyond the blue line, is that still the same rule? I don't know. I'd have to check that rule book. But yeah, very interesting. But in either sense, Avalanche go away with a 4-1 win, giving up only 1 power play goal, so you can't really fault them. Georgiev looks like he's back into his fighting shape, which is great. But at the same time, there wasn't too much negative to say about this game, other than as soon as the Avalanche took a 3-0 lead, they kind of looked like they coasted for a little bit and let Calgary get that one back. That's about the only thing.
We were outshot too. We were outshot by 5 shots. But it's nice to see that even if we give a little coast and give up a goal, that we are not going to continue to blow the whole game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was just it. Like, it seemed like for the last however long, it was we had to claw tooth and nail just to get within 1 and then tie the game and then win the game, Right. But this one, it was the opposite. It was like, can you keep the lead? And, even in a Cale McCarless situation, they seem to do fine, but it would have been nice to have a full 60 minutes where at least the feel felt like it was still within Avalanche control, because that whole third period, it felt like it was Flames taking control of that third period. And that's just a little bit unsettling, I guess. But they still got the job done. They didn't score any shots. Georgiev was amazing. Not too much else to say about that game.
Yeah, no, it was nice to see Nuke looked like he was really it was nice to see him get out there and feel like when he came back his first stint, it definitely didn't feel like Nuke. And that game, you were like, okay, that they must have figured it out, or he's getting there, because it definitely stood out. And also, it's hard to critique him too hard because he's one of the best NHL defensemen that has ever lived, is Devon Toews, but he's really had kind of a lackluster season, but he really stood out as standing up well in the presence of Makar. I mean, it's that's a big, huge role to fill, especially when he's already accustomed to playing with him. And I mean, that's a very specific defensive pair to have Makar and Toews. So for him to be able to adjust like that, and he really seemed to carry the D a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was great to see, our depth just showing up. Nuke had his goal, which finally you're like, okay, that finally might mean he shakes off his rust and stuff. But then you had an absolute downtown snipe from Brad Hunt.
Good.
Oh my gosh.
I swear to God, that guy is just like stealing hearts. His interviews, he's just got it.
You can just tell he's just happy to have a chance to play in the NHL.
Our new Jack
it's
no,
exactly exactly. Or was that? Hang on, am I thinking of the right game? Was that the Calgary game? Now I'm second guessing myself.
No, the Brad Hunt snipe was I think that was
in the Vancouver. That's right. That's the Vancouver game. But that was when MacKinnon scored twice.
Yes,
that's right. Sorry, I'm just too excited to move on to talk about Brad Hunt.
No, I get so thrown off when I miss games for Muskie stuff. But but still, Brad Hunt, honestly, the depth has played. Yeah. They're playing so much better, but what's happening is the line matches are more where they belong. As we get these people back, we're playing our third line against third lines as opposed to playing our third line against possibly a team's first line. I mean, that's the trickle effect, and I know that sounds so cliche, but essentially it's making these lineups more appropriate so that the depth players, they may have been playing even better in the prior games, but a fourth line player doesn't work as well even at their best against a second line. So it's it all just kind of, it's like all comes together in so many different aspects, not just playing good or feeling good. It's a whole bunch of little things that change as each person is added back to the lineup.
Yeah. And that was just kind of what we were having to do with our lines. We're switching them up. And we talked about this, I think an episode or two ago, about how it's really nice that the Avalanche can meld first lines with a third line and a fourth. Right. And I kind of listed off so-and-so's goal mixed with so-and-so's assist. But now that stuff is kind of starting to sift itself through and stuff, now you have essentially a whole team back. Once it's going to feel a lot more whole once Manson and Byram come back, which I see that after the All-Star game, sometime after that, it's supposed to be Manson and Byram coming back. So it's like, finally. But it's to a point now where even without Cale Makar, you won 3 games in a row on a road trip.
Well, that's it. Where did you see Robin says we may as well trade Makar if we've won 3
exactly games. It's like you don't need him anymore. He's no longer good for the team. But speaking of in that team aspect, we'll move on to that Vancouver game because honestly, the Calgary game, like I said, that would be the only thing is just play a full 60 minutes. The Vancouver game, on the other hand, was, I mean, same thing. You go up 3-0, you lose a goal, and then you finish it off with a 4-1 victory. Right? Great stuff, right? You finally get that vengeance game that you have so wanted because of the essential chokes.
Every game this week felt like it was a must win, which at this point where we are, every game kind of is, but all of these kind of felt like they had different
it did. It had different, like, I don't want to necessarily say implications because the implications all the same, but just the impact on how it did with the team's morale.
Right.
Kind of, at least in my way of looking at it, sure seemed like it. But this Vancouver game, it was Abuse Mikko night at the Rogers Arena up there in Vancouver because my gosh, Mikko was abused by that Canucks team.
Yeah. They're angry.
they were mad. And before I go into too much detail, Bruce Boudreau, if you're listening to this, I know you'll find a job elsewhere.
Right.
You
We
are a
love
great
you.
head coach. We love you. We support you. We think what you did, what that front office did on that team, it was less than satisfactory as to how the
That whole
events
situation
unfolded
is
there.
just sickening. And I was reading that they are trying to. It sounded like they were trying to pass some of the buck on to Elliot Friedman. Yeah. I don't know, and it's funny because I just kind of dropped a little bit of my massive hate for them since the Bertuzzi thing was what 14 years ago, 15,
A
a
long time
long
ago.
time ago. I gotta shut the fan off over me. I'm freezing, but
No, you're good. So while she's doing that, basically, you know, he was a fantastic head coach, Boudreau was, and you could see, everyone, including himself, knew that his games were numbered, and just tears soaring through his eyes and stuff like that. Because I don't know, I just think he deserved a lot better than that. And
it's just unfortunate
Allie
that
says,
was one of the nicest people with it because there's a lot of jerks.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
But he's
and that's the
definitely an
thing. It's
emotional
like,
person who adores the game of hockey and he lives for his players. So it's a gross situation. And clearly they
mhm.
have such deep rooted issues within their organization to try to pin it on the coach that's been there for a cumulative year is just no.
Yeah,
No.
it's like take a look at what Jared Bednar, for example, Avalanche coach.
Mhm.
He took a team his first year. If was it his first year where they had the worst season of the entire franchise history, right? I want to say that was the time. If not, it was the year after where he took a team and flipped it on its head in one season, got them from worst in the league to at least making the playoffs in a season, right?
Yep.
You need to give, at least when an organization is so terrible like that at that time, and you see the coach give some type of glimmer of hope, I think you need to give him the following season to then make the decision, because they fired him before the All-Star break, right? You never know what would happen in the second half of the season. Take St. Louis, for example. As soon as they fired their head coach, got an interim. I know that's not probably the best way to put it, given the circumstances as to what happened to Vancouver, but they went from worst in the league to winning the Stanley Cup back in 2019,
Mhm.
right? So it's like you don't
Well,
know
and
what would
it's just
happen.
especially he needs more time when they clearly have such issues with their front office and there's the relationships aren't valued and
Their
there's
veteran
a lot
players also could use a
of issues.
bit of the slap on the face, but
Oh man, I'm all the JT Miller
discipline,
is
man.
not my boy.
Yeah, I was watching that whole thing, just being like, I just like there have even been videos that surfaced of that Vancouver team of teammates rolling their eyes when JT Miller would throw a
Yeah.
fit. And it's like, I understand he's passionate about the game. I understand all that stuff, but at the same time, there comes a time where you have to realize your teammates are human,
Right.
But anyways, I'm getting too off track.
Yeah,
But
it's but it
in
is.
either
I
sense,
just think
though,
it's gross.
in either sense, so that was kind of the fall of winning that game, or was that was just another nail in Bruce Boudreau's coffin. So we do apologize for that, but
Yeah,
the
no, and I think it
Avalanche,
was Pearson said that this whole debacle is it is messing with their on ice play. So I mean, this team, they're just the issues just keep getting bigger and bigger. There's no. It blows my mind that Tocchet would even want to come in and coach these guys. And it's also unfortunate that we're losing Adam Foote to them because while I don't know that he necessarily loved the job, he seemed like he was definitely getting better and more comfortable. But yeah, so Adam Foote is leaving us on TV for an assistant coaching
yeah,
position, which I'm sure he will
they
kill.
stole him from us.
Yep, he's
I'm
a
so
hockey
mad.
mind, and that's what he wants to
Oh
do.
yeah. And that's Rick Toche's pickup, and you can't fault him for that and whatnot. I liked Rick when he was with TNT. I thought he did a great job, but
Yeah.
that was kind of the head coaching pick that they had. And like I said, we wish them the best of luck, and hopefully he can kind of keep those veteran players in check. And who knows what'll become of Vancouver. But it's kind of unfortunate all around. But in either sense, the game that we played was
Yeah.
fantastic. Cogliano gets this thing started with an absolute beauty of a wrister
That was
up the slot, and wow, it was great.
Yeah.
Nichushkin follows that up with a goal. And he's like I said, back on the score sheet, everything's great.
Yep.
Rantanen notches his 32nd of the season.
Yeah.
Go figure, not surprising. And then that was Brad Hunt's snipe.
Yeah.
There is, however, a bit of a stick tap that I want to give to Elias Pettersson with his one goal that they had for Vancouver. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it was
nothing Georgiev could have done. Georgiev did everything right, but just the stick handling from Pettersson was fantastic.
Yeah,
so give credit where credit is due. But this game felt a lot better as far as energy and pace went compared to the Calgary game.
And when you consider how many open nets we've missed, could have been a higher scoring game too.
Oh, jeez. No, don't even get me started for the next one we're going to talk about.
Right, I was going to say, and it only gets worse.
And it only gets better.
No, it was a good game. I think my biggest negative that I didn't like is I feel like Calgary kind of propelled Cogliano into this like just rage in the next 3 games. And Cogliano really it's just really taken some dumb penalties, which is unfortunate because that line between Newhook, LOC, and Cogs is it's vibing very, very well. It's interesting to see Newhook struggle playing with top line players and then go to the third line where he has to take charge, and it seems like it's empowering to him. Newhook has stepped up so much in the last and maybe he's just better suited for playing the third line, but to just see those 3 grind it out so hard is so nice. But Cog's he's got to get his shit together. He's just been a lot of really dumb penalties.
Yeah, it's so I like the only thing that remedies the fact that he was sitting in the box for 6 minutes with his 3 penalties was the fact that he had a goal. It's like, you know, it's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde, you know, where it's like, sweet, he gets a goal. You're happy for it. But we're at a point now where it's like, okay, when is the penalty going to happen?
Right. And also
that was like Josh Manson a couple months ago. You're like, okay, when's his penalty going to come?
Well, and especially when it's your better penalty killers that are in the box, makes it a lot harder to get through. Ali, so they came out with the ask for Horvat. I can't remember what it is. I think it's 3. Do you know what it is, Nick? It's like 3 top picks and a prospect, or vice versa, or like a first round and 3 prospects or something. It's a big
it's a heavy order, that's for sure. I don't think at this point the Avalanche are quite willing to pay for that because they're pretty low on picks as it is.
Our prospect pool, I can't even remember where I heard this the other day. There's a ranking for the prospect pool. So from 1 to 32, where do you think the Avs prospect pool rates?
Honestly, well, I was gonna be funny and say 32nd. It honestly sounds pretty legit.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a little depressing.
Yeah. So it's like we don't really have too much that we could flash in front of Vancouver and say, hey, this is pretty money. Do you want to come grab it?
Yep.
And honestly, I think as days and weeks go by, I think the Bo Horvat conversation will just eventually come to a halt at Denver's feet.
I think that
so
until Gabe is back, can we truly assess what we need? I mean, obviously we need a 2-seed, but it'll be interesting to see where Gabe lands, where Landy is in the lineup, if they keep Lehkonen and Mac separated, if they put Gabe on that first line, and where Erod
what they're going to do with Rodriguez.
He has shown himself to be perfectly capable of stepping up. So we'll have to see. I just can't see them doing anything before Gabe is back and they can truly. Now that we've got Malgin back, that changes things. Well, when we get Malgin back, what is his injury?
I don't remember what his injury was.
I keep forgetting that he's on the team already.
That's the beauty of the NHL is they'll only tell you upper or lower body or nothing at all.
Yeah,
that's the amazing part. But I did see pictures of him. I want to say it was Peter Baugh that posted a picture of practice, and Makar's back in a full contact sweater. Everything's great. Manson and Malgin and Byram were
Yeah, I
all
think they said Byram was in a red
non-contacts,
sweater, but left. He left before practice started, but he was out there in a red by
something
himself.
like that. Yep.
I forgot.
So
I was just gonna go back. I saw a Broncos breakdown was asking about Frankie versus Georgie. I know that some people might disagree with me, and I know a lot of people get really hot on Frankie, but I still think that Georgie is the starter and should stay the starter. I think that Frankie is like the epitome of a backup goalie. It's hard to have someone that's content in playing that role, even as just like if you call it a tandem, but a heavier on Georgie tandem. I just think that Georgie has the absolute perfect mindset. His calmness is one that is very, very valuable as a backup goalie because he can step in hot situations. He can play big games and he can finish out big games, but I don't know that his health would allow him to be a starting goalie, for one, because he has had I don't know if it was technically a hip replacement, but both of them, and it seems like he sure ends up hurt a lot for playing minimal games. But I think that Georgie's got that mentality, that hothead mentality that can carry you through some serious wins. But the thing about those goalies is you also get some big lows. As you can see, he hasn't had a game like it's either under 80% or over 97% per save average. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, I think that Georgie is it. If they had any inclination that they would want Frankie to be the starting goaltender to go through the Stanley Cup, we would have done it by now. There's just got to be something that they don't quite see in him, or something that hinders their decision making in that. I don't know exactly what it is, but I would imagine it has to do with the mentality, and I don't know. But like Suter says, we do have the best duo in the league.
And that was exactly what I was going to bring up.
Weird guy.
Yes.
I
was going to bring that up, though. What's that?
He just loves the Avalanche.
And that's okay. I'm not going to complain.
No.
But that's one thing I was gonna bring up was both goalies, the tandem is the best in the NHL. I personally believe that. And the only one that would come close, in my opinion, is the duo in Boston with Ullmark and Swayman.
Yep, that's fair.
Right? Everyone else, it's kind of a one-man show, and the other ones, they have their moments and stuff, but I don't think the duo is as good as what Colorado currently has. That being said, it is true that Frankie has denied every single penalty shot that he has faced when they do go to shootouts. That being said, though, if you kind of put things in a more broad spectrum, Frankie has only, if that's the case, if you divide that by 12, really, or divide by 3, he's had 4 shootouts where he's played. Right? Now, granted, the Avalanche haven't gone to a ton over time, but given the ratio, it's Frankie versus any other goalie he was behind. Then yeah, it's a bit more kind of skewed when you look at it.
Right.
That being said, though, he, Francouz, and we'll talk about him in this Seattle game that we're going to get to here. He's absolutely more than reliable 2B or 1B, if you want to look at it that way, right? So, for example, if Georgiev was injured or something, I would have no issue with Francouz coming in and then having Francouz be your starter and having Johansson or even Hanunen or whoever it is come in and Hutchison, come in and be the backup to Frankie. But I think as it sits right now, the reason, at least in my opinion, the reason Georgiev continues to get those starts is because consistency and repetition were kind of his strong suits. Right now, they're but it comes in a spurt of like 3 to 4 games, and then you put Frankie in for 1 or 2, and then Georgiev for 4 and whatnot. But that's kind of the most, I want to call it, economical way to get the production from your goalies, right? Because Frankie comes in.
Show for them is ideal.
Yeah. And I think that's the perfect thing. 3 to 1 or 2 to 1, anything in there. And back-to-backs, are going to happen, stuff like that. But I think that's kind of wise because Georgiev does better when he has a slate of 2 to 3 or even 4 games, Frankie can do well in any pinch, right? And we saw
I don't know that Frankie can take the mileage like that, but I just think that he has the perfect mindset for things, and that's kind of where that shutout mentality comes in. Shutout is a big mental game, but I just don't know that he could take the mileage. I'm not totally sure.
It's to be determined. That's just it. Is we don't know because we haven't seen it happen, right? But just kind of taking for face value and whatnot our imperfect opinions. That's just kind of how the look of things goes. Where Georgiev could play the long game, whereas Frankie will do better in the short game. You know, it's kind of like a tandem quarterback type thing in an offense for football. Sometimes you have a quarterback that does way better on the ground. Sometimes you have a quarterback that does better in the air. It depends on the team that you face. But in either sense, I kind of agree with you there, Britt, where I think Georgiev is still our go-to option for any type of haul of games.
Yeah, they've made Frankie, that clear.
Yeah, but Frankie, I still think has the capability if something does happen, or if they just want to give Georgiev a rest, or if he's not doing hot. That's kind of where that flip happened, was because of Frankie. You put him in net, and then
I don't think that they're scared to play the hot hand at all.
No, and that's just it. So and down the stretch, that is going to be what happens, right? You see it in the playoffs all the time, right?
Yep.
And so it all just depends, right? Francouz has proven himself to be a great goaltender in those situations like the Seattle game. Georgiev, he's won our trust. Yeah, he fell into a rut, but then again, so did the whole freaking team.
Right.
But he's popped back out of it. He's kind of back there. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's up to the coaching staff to see just kind of how they feel, and they have a lot more know-how. They go to all the practices, they see all the team play, they see both goaltenders, and that's just kind of the way they see it. So, speaking of now, that Seattle game, Francouz is in net, but wow, that was a game if I've ever seen one. Seattle at the time, first place in the Pacific Division. That's really exciting. I kind of like that. I like the Kraken
scoring their butts off, and it's a game. I mean, that's
and Grubauer is in net, and I was like, okay, so they're not playing Martin Jones, because Martin Jones was your guy, right?
Well, and I forgot to look it up, but statistically, I think that Martin Jones has had the Avs numbers for several years, because it always seemed like those California goalies owned the Avs, and that's what I was. They were just hoping for that emotional pull from Grubauer, I suppose.
I think that's just it, and Grubauer, I think, had to have a good game against the Avs to kind of get over whatever PTSD / Avs hangover, whatever it was he was having, and Grubauer played lights out great, right? So both goaltenders had just ridiculous saves and all that stuff. But essentially, this game felt like a playoff game. Like if this was your Western Conference final, my gosh, buckle in. That's going to be fantastic.
Just pray to God that the ice doesn't suck as much. I mean, what? It's honestly
that Rodriguez penalty shot
could have been, because I mean, it was about 30% dictated by where the puck hit a bump on the ice, or it was
pretty much
bizarre.
And it was so dumb, because the game was frustrating in I guess 4 aspects. The fact that it was low scoring,
right?
Like a playoff game tends to be. The fact that the refs were missing so many.
So it's like
calls. There were about 2 slashes, 3 trips. MacKinnon got high stick, a blatant high stick, and it was missed. Right? There were so many things that could have swayed momentum. And say that again.
It was really bizarre. I mean, it just almost kind of felt like there was, I don't know, it was just odd.
Yeah. But in either sense, that's part of the game, though. As much as you and I want to just moan and complain about the refereeing, and I still will.
Well, and it wasn't like totally one-sided either. I mean, they just
they just missed calls so many places. There was even one where I'm like, I'm surprised we got away with that. You know, like just not the most ideal game for a referee. So maybe they go back to the video feed on that and just kind of take some pointers off of what not to do.
Yeah.
But just it was key calls, stuff like that. The other one that I had was the momentum shifts, where they threw my heart off balance every time, because it was like, we set up shop and we're in nothing but our offensive zone. We're firing pucks on net, all that stuff. And I'm like, sweet, this is how the game's going to go. Fantastic. And this is like 5 minutes of just that. And then it just shifts. And then all of a sudden the Kraken have nothing but a 5-minute time in the zone. And you're just like, oh my gosh.
Well, and then there it is. Like Mikko just kind of dorks around and boom, there's a goal. I mean, Mikko was just really being lazy there. It was, it didn't,
and it was a blow for blow game, It's like,
if you look
all
at the stat lines, almost everything is identical. It's bizarre.
It's
the giveaways,
crazy.
the takeaways, the hits, the blocks, the shots, the face-offs.
Yep.
It was
it was like playing your clone in that game.
Yeah, it was wild.
So crazy. And the goals were even like, what, a minute apart?
Yeah, and they're missing Berkey, but we're missing Cale Makar. So
yeah,
ours hurts more than yours. We're missing Gabe. Also,
I put the post up, and it was Andre Burakovsky related and all that stuff. Yeah. And I'm watching about halfway through the game. I'm like, where's Burakovsky?
Yeah, well,
he's not even there.
If you think about it, so if we're out here playing even, statistically, we're on the second night of a back-to-back. Our guys are clearly exhausted, and we have to go. We just had a shootout game. We went all the way to overtime, and our guys can barely even skate and somehow still take the win. I mean, it's just this. It's not a good look for them, even though it's a tight, hard-fought loss. It's not a good look for them to lose to a battered team, second night of a back-to-back, all the way to an overtime. I mean, it's definitely a better look. It's a perseverance win for us versus it's a pretty sad loss for them when you consider.
Yeah. And that overtime loss put them now 1 point behind. So back into second in the Pacific Division behind Vegas. Yep. Go figure, the two expansion teams are now the best in the Pacific.
Right.
But at the same time, the game itself, like I said, it was exciting. It was definitely one of my favorite games this season, given the outcome and stuff.
And those jerseys are just so nice to look at, all of it.
They really are. And
my colors.
Yeah. Anyways, but the other frustrating part about this game was just the puck luck. There were so many open shots, and the Kraken had their handful as well.
What did you do? Yeah,
if the Kraken and the Avalanche took advantage of these open net chances, that it just jumped over their stick, or they missed shot or whatever, this would be like a 10-9 type of game. Like, oh my gosh.
It was so bizarre. And especially, Logan O'Connor has got to, he needs to,
3 times
sacrifice the gods or something. I don't know, but
3 times he had it on his stick.
O'Connor hasn't scored since Finland or something, and it's
jeez.
He deserves
it. He's been playing great. It's
and that's just it. It feels like he's scored, but no, he's just almost scored enough that my brain can't even remember when the actually went in. But yeah, he works way too hard. But this game was huge. Newhook, I mean, this was I felt like a big coming out time for Newhook. I mean, he set the tone. He won that game for us. You know what I mean? He really, really took control there, and that was a bomb goal.
Oh yeah, they're both fantastic, and honestly, I'm talking about both goals. So I don't remember who. I think it was Donato that had the Kraken's goal, but just like I said, minute after each other. So really, this game was pound for pound, punch for punch. Great stuff to watch, but at the same time, it's time for much needed rest for the, your first game this week will be on Tuesday, and then you get some rest and stuff like that. But it's going to be nice to have just these last 3 games and then the All-Star break, so some other than 3 particular Avalanche players can rest. So let's go ahead and dive into that then. Before we do, though, after those 3 wins, you're on a 5-game winning streak. You have now gotten back into the playoffs at the second wild card spot. So you're, what is it? That Bill, I think it's Bill that always says it. Booty cheeks tight. You're barely in there. but you're at least in a spot. So at this point, it's just focus on wins. We don't need a count, right? So it's like we got back to a spot where we're okay. So these next 3 games going into the All-Star break, you have a lot of momentum.
Yep.
First game this coming week is Tuesday, and it'll be against Washington. All 3 of these will be home against Washington. I saw pictures of Darcy Kemper and Nick Abe-Kubel at practice, and it's like I don't think you see that quite often as players returning to their former teams. Maybe you do. I just haven't seen very many teams post about it. But a lot of people like when they played in
yeah,
college.
I think we don't send many people off with a bad taste in their mouth than Matt Duchene.
I was about to say, unless you were Matt Duchene. But it's nice to see, familiar faces coming in and stuff like that. But it kind of does do a little tip of the cap to the Avalanche organization, how well it's run, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like Tyson Barrie, my favorite player, hasn't played for the Avalanche in years.
Yes.
Right? And he's still.
Yeah. It made me kind of sad listening to that interview with them. Of course, I had to listen to that because, it's love Tyson Barrie.
He still lives. Well, he has a house in Denver still. He's friends with the Lumineers, by the way. Isn't that cool?
It's so bizarre. He's like
great.
a really dynamic person, though. He's one of the he's the one that got away a lot of the time in my heart. I just
he's like every time I'm watching an Oilers game, I'm always like, is Tyson Barrie going to score a goal? And then every time he has the puck, shoot it, But that's what I get for picking favorites. So Tyson Barrie, if you're watching this, come back to Colorado. So to the Washington game, though, there's a few big keys, 3 to be specific, in this Capitals game in order to guarantee your victory. So they're still coming off with a pretty bad taste in their mouth after getting blanked 4-0 in a masterclass effort by Georgiev. Key to the game number 1, no records on our watch. What I mean by that is we have done a very good job at maintaining order against a one Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Now, and we did that even against McDavid. We've done that against Matthews. All these superstars, we seem to do a really good job with holding them down to either a low points night or a no points night.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the big thing because Ovechkin right now is one of their 3 hot hands.
Yeah, he did just miss a game for an injury yesterday, was it? They said it was his, oh my gosh, 29th. It was something like the 29th game he had missed in 18 years.
Crazy.
For injury. It's absolutely insane. So
he lives, eats, and breathes hockey.
I haven't gotten to watch anything today. I've been working all day, but I'm sure he'll be back by then. I don't think.
Oh yeah, there's no way he'd want to take multiple games off. Not even close. But you never know. But in either sense, we did a really good job that first game of keeping keeping Ovi out of his office. Yes. Landy's office is the crease.
They didn't have Tom Wilson or Oshie last time we played them, though.
This is true. So we were facing a little bit different team. But I still think that same key goes into effect here, where it's like if you can keep Ovechkin down, force everyone else to have to be the playmakers, that's going to be really good for your chances because you're spreading them thin. Right, because he's a heavy hitter, and if you take him away, all you're left with are a bunch of line drives.
I love him. I've named dogs after him, but he's slow. He gets where he's going and waits for a shot. He is not a quick man at this point in his career. Not that he's ever been super fast, but should be something that helps us against him.
Oh, fingers crossed. Let's hope so. And all of a sudden, he turns into Logan O'Connor and just,
Yeah, but kind of so to Mike's point here, while we're talking about the Caps, I think that every game at this point needs to feel like a must-win. If you look at the division and you kind of follow stuff, it's so weird that the Jets are just silently cruising along, playing really well. But
so weird.
The Wild are going all in to try to win the Stanley Cup this year, which blows my freaking mind. It's so bizarre, but we're set up good we could. I truly believe we could still win the division. The thing is, it'll be interesting to see whether the Blues are going to be buying or selling, because that's going to affect a lot of stuff. Whether the Preds are buying or selling. The fact that we have 4 teams that might be sellers at the deadline to tank in the Central Division will affect a lot of the points movements. The Stars are also old. I think they're going to taper off greatly. Stars are good at disappointing or good at being a surprise. Yeah, so it's very interesting to see.
Unless your name is Jason Robertson.
Oh God, just love him, man. But yeah, I'm really curious to see, because you've got the Preds and the Blues. Depends how they do, but we could potentially get a lot of points here coming up soon. But we also, I feel every game is a must win. We need to take every point possible, especially I consider these Caps games must win. And I do believe that we can do it without Landy. I think that Landy is the heart and soul of this team. He is. I just saw update. I cannot remember now. Did they say he's expected to get on the ice after the All-Star break, right?
I believe that was the consensus, yes.
But I think with a lot of the other injuries being back at this point, they're not so beat down that I think if we have just Landy out, I think we can get through it. And they must definitely anticipate him being back. Otherwise, I feel like they'd be looking more for moves if it was going to be out for the regular season or something like that. But I really do think that we can do that.
Yeah,
and
I
think
totally
the Blues
agree.
are going to sell too, which is kind of funny because it's like, do we want Ryan O'Reilly? Can we afford Ryan O'Reilly? I don't know.
Honestly,
Ryan O'Reilly.
If you want my opinion, I don't think we do.
Don't want him?
It's not that we don't want him. I don't think we need him.
No, and it's not a need. It's always, the thing is I've come to the conclusion at this point that they're never going to take who everyone expects them to take. Like, had you heard of Lekkonen's name being tossed prior to the trade announcement to the Avs? I mean, the Lekkonen, Cogliano, Manson, those were not names on radars.
Yeah, what Sakic and McFarland are doing, they go after the guys that nobody thinks about. But the thing is, every single one of them, except for one, pan out. The one I'm talking about was bringing back one Nemeth. That wasn't and Soderberg, but that was
Nemeth and Soderberg.
It was an interesting experiment, but you can't. I mean, 100% track record is a hard thing to keep up. Exactly. But yeah, I think, and Ali actually does bring up a good point here with that Dallas team. Ottinger and Robertson are kind of the focal points. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure, they have plenty of other good big names and stuff like that, but if those two taper off, what's going to happen, and that's kind of just what you're saying. So I think going back to Bill's comment here, I don't think, I mean, we're 1 point out of third place in the Central Division, right? We're 10 points out of first. It's an easily obtainable feat with 40 or 35 or 38 whatever games left. You can easily get that, no problem. That's just it. Just your mentality with whatever team you have, whatever players you do have. It's just win the game. That should be the objective every single time.
That's supposed to be our strong point, is finding ways to win. That's how we win.
Find a way. Yep, that was just it. But yeah, so if Ottinger goes down for Dallas, then probably,
and Dallas is always just a wild card. They're always just.
Yep.
Are they going to get this performance out of Ben and Sagan through playoffs? I mean, they're like 100 years old, and they're both just
Pavelski, same thing.
Yeah. So it's that is one thing that we will always have going in our favor, is the longevity of our team.
Yep.
Being
Is anybody else frozen? Hey, Britt, did you freeze? People in the comments help me out. She looks like she's about to attack me with her chapstick. So if you could make in the comments if you see that your screen's frozen or if it's just me. Well, let's see if we get this figured out. It's always about the 55 minute mark where this tends to happen. So we got to keep it under wraps here. Allie says we're frozen. Okay, looks like she's frozen here, but
young players. I mean,
hang on. We're getting her back. I'm hearing noise, but the video isn't matching. We'll get there. We're almost done, people. I promise. Just bear with us. Okay. Hey, wait, is it? Oh, she's back. Are you back? She's kind of back. Now she's back. Now she actually is back. Now she's frozen again. Okay. So I guess while she's debating about being frozen or not, we'll go in. I still have 2 keys to the game that I forgot to go into. First, let's see. Second key to the game is Darcy was here. And what I mean by that is Darcy Kemper is very used to playing at Ball Arena. Oh, there goes Brit. But Darcy Kemper was very used to playing at Ball Arena, winning a Stanley Cup for the team. So he's going to be very comfortable. He's going to be very comfortable playing in Ball Arena, right? But at the same time, he's still the same Darcy Kemper, right? So we as a team, as the Avalanche, I know I say we a lot because I feel that clearly I'm part of the team. We tend to remember stuff in practices as to how particular players that are no longer with us, how they performed. So that's a perfect example as to exploiting kind of his weaknesses. We did that out in Washington the last time. It's time to do that again with Darcy Kemper. So I think if we're able to exploit him, show off his weaknesses, or just keep him off his game, throw him off his game, we're going to be in great shape. Third key to the game is increase power play production. Our power play is getting better. We're doing to a point where we're now scoring on power play chances in a game, but I feel like it needs to be in a spot where we need to have kind of that beginning of the season mentality as to we were scoring on every single power play. It seemed like the first month of the game. And it was a beautiful thing to watch. Every time you were on the power play, you were just like, sweet, basically it's a freebie goal, right? And obviously that got lost. Now we're starting to get some of it back. Every power play chance you have to score on it, right? And because it just makes the game that much easier to win toward the end of the game, right? There's no need to pull these close ones where they have to pull a goalie or something like that. It takes away from it being close. So that would be my third key to the Washington game, is to just increase that power play production any way you can, right? And we've said it a bunch. The Avalanche that is, seem to just pass around the perimeter and then find some shots and all that stuff. Yes, it has proven to be beneficial in some cases, but I still think attack of the net is kind of the way to go. So that'd be my take on the Washington Capitals game. Obviously, I think this is a very winnable game now that the Avalanche are back on their win streak. Should be a good game either way on Tuesday. Moving on now, the Ducks game. So the Ducks, that is Thursday at 7 p.m. Same with the Washington, not 7 p.m. Thursday. And, oh, there she is. Hi, Brit.
Well,
hey,
it's maddening at this point, honestly.
That's okay. Everything's going to be fine.
Catch me next week streaming from a Starbucks.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, see, people missed you, right? People missed you. It's not the Clusterfuck podcast without Brit. Just FYI, everybody. Anyway, so the Anaheim Ducks game. 3 keys to the game for the Ducks, who are a lowly team right now. And in my opinion, I really love to see them win the Bedard race.
I agree. Yeah.
Oh, it'd be great. Trevor Zegras with Connor Bedard.
Yep.
That would be like the most entertaining duo on like in the history of ever.
Yeah.
Key to the game number 1. It seems to be SoCal. And what I mean by that is there seems to be this thorn in our side with these Southern California teams that we just cannot seem to get just a nice, clean win. It always either comes down to they have lockdown defense, lockdown goaltending, they somehow win. So many things. So
when these should be scheduled.
Get out of that. Exactly. We reschedule the game and move on to the St. Louis game on Saturday. No, I'm kidding. But it just, even though the Ducks have not been the best team per se, they still know how to win those types of games. You know what I mean? It just seems like this is going to be that type
some wild wins out.
Exactly. And if it does go to shootouts, you can forget it. Trevor Zegras will be scoring a goal.
I know. My son is like so amped up for the All-Star game already. Yep. Which I don't know. Is Zegras even going to be there?
He was not voted in. I want to say it was Troy Terry that's going to represent the Ducks, if I'm not mistaken.
So does he get to make a special
fun stuff
again? He's literally like the trick shot.
I don't know. That's what I wanted to have for the Ducks was Zegras, but that's just a man in one opinion. But
one more vote. People didn't. The people's votes didn't actually count for anything. They're irrelevant.
Yeah, about that. Anyway, so seems to be SoCal. Snap out of whatever jinx you have, and just move on with life. You know what I mean? Second key to the game is a question. Who are you going to receive at the gates? Anaheim tends to be a team where they either don't show up at all or they make it close but still maybe win.
Yep.
Right? And that's just kind of been their luck. It's like they've either shown up and done a great job or have just lost in those kind of just darn it type team, darn it type games.
Well, they got
And that's just it. It's like their team, it's like there's not much to play for currently for them, but a win against the defending Stanley Cup champions would sure be a crown jewel in the season. Right? I mean, look at what Arizona did to us, for crying out loud. A 6-3 beatdown. Yeah. And that's just it. And that's just it. The third key to the game is a quote, "You activated my trap card." For any of you cartoon fans, I think you know what I'm talking about. Let us know in the comments if you think you know what it is. You activated my trap card. This feels like it could be one of those trap games.
Yeah,
right. Avalanche
it's
riding
just
high.
Totally a thing. The Leafs lost to the Hawks last night. The night before, Saturday night, Leafs lost to the Hawks. There's been a lot of weird. It's just how it goes.
Yep. And that's the beauty of the NHL. We've said this a number of times. The worst team can always beat the best team. In fact, it happened last week.
Yep.
So that's just it. Oh, Avatar, you got it. Yu-Gi-Oh! And ironically enough, I've only seen one ever episode, and it happened to be that episode. So this could be one of those trap games. So just learn from that Arizona game that no game,
this game
should be considered an easy win. We just need to go in there and
win. It needs to be business. It needs to be done. It would be very disappointing, I think, to lose this game when you consider where we're at in needing points and the upcoming schedule. These games become you can't shrug off those losses. They need to win.
Yep. And none of them should be taken lightly, even though they're down on the tiers and stuff like that. Our mentality should be there's no such thing as an easy win.
Right. Yep.
So those are the three keys to the Anaheim Ducks game. Next up, St. Louis, the team of whom I have a undying hatred for. My brother's favorite team. So this should be a fun game that I think I'm actually going to be out of town for this, so we won't be able to watch it together, but I'll be texting him throughout the game. First key to the game, and this is kind of more of a personal note. pure unbridled hatred.
Mutual.
There's a lot to not like about St. Louis. If you're me, if you're my brother, it's probably the opposite. But just this game means so much more to me because of the family feud and stuff like that. So just stomp them. Just go, and it's a home game. Just stomp them. Just show what Avalanche hockey is all about, and obviously don't do those dumb penalties like we were just talking about, but play it smart, but play it physical, and just get another 7-0 blowout. You know what I mean? Hang a touchdown on them. It's a wish list item, but I think given how those two teams have kind of trended right now, looks like the scales are tilted in our favor right now.
Yeah, they're not in a good spot, and I know that some people are like, well, when we won the Stanley Cup, we went from the worst team to the best team, and it's like, that's not where you're at now. This is not that. So they're kind of reeling from that Jordan Binnington contract. Like, there's no way for them to get out of it. They're probably regretting letting Husso go. They're in a tough spot. I'd like to see them be sellers and just suck butt for a couple of years. Be my ideal.
A couple hundred would be more.
Yeah. How long is Binnington's contract?
Exactly. Which, speaking of, second point to the game is thirsty. Grab some water. This is one of those games where I think the best way to win that game is to have fresh legs, or a hydrated team, if you want to call it that. Play the minutes game, right? Don't overload the all-stars.
Really even out. So hopefully we can continue into that, and that'll be huge.
Exactly. And that was just it that you brought up, I want to say last week, that the big part of that we attributed to the Avalanche sudden victory or success, excuse me, was the fact that those minutes went right back to kind of a normal range, right?
Yeah.
So keep that up, right? We know there's a lot of vendettas that go on between these two teams. Even though the identities look different now than what it was last year, the Blues are still the same team because they have the same head coach, right? So they're going to be doing some of those boneheaded moves that you need to watch out for, right? So be the fresher team, have, the fresher legs, and if you're thirsty, grab some water, take a shift, and then rinse and repeat. So that's key to the game number 2 for me. Key to the game number 3, and then we'll wrap up, is all-star, all-time, all-game. This is one where your all-stars, you're going to have a showcase right beforehand, because if I'm not mistaken, this team will be via Hulu, not just on ESPN Plus. So this is going to have a lot more eyes on it. So your all-stars are going to have to show out right before the all-star game, so you can see exactly what they do or how they are on the team.
It'd be nice to make it a spectacle.
Oh, it would absolutely be amazing to make it a spectacle. And that's where the all-star, all-time, all-game. Give it a full 60 minutes. But the thing is,
we got to do it because they've made a spectacle of us before also. So we...
Oh, yeah. There's a certain 6-on-3 scenario that I'm still haunted by. That.
Yep.
Yeah. So those are the three points, or three keys to the game against St. Louis. And then after that, it's a week off for All-Star break, man. And boy, howdy, I feel like a lot of players are going to want that. So
I know.
It should be nice.
Can our guys just not go?
I think, isn't that the like, you can take it off, but you are suspended.
That's what Ovechkin is like, right? Taking the 1-game suspension for like 10 years.
He does that all the time, and he's
but
like,
they said I think it was Merrick said that he goes to Florida during the All-Star week, so now he may as well just go to the game.
He may as well just go. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Okay, so a couple last little housekeeping items. I'm wearing maroon today because I just finished watching yesterday the Coyotes beat up against the Vegas Golden Knights in their new Desert Knights uniforms.
They do.
My gosh.
Whoever designs Arizona's jerseys should just, I don't know.
I mean, look good, feel good, play good. For sure.
And then their goalie gear is always off the hook. It's just crazy. Which
Allie and I,
but
we were just salivating at those uni combos. Oh my gosh, they are beautiful.
They haven't made a bad one
and I'm
yet.
not afraid, and I'm not ashamed to admit that.
No,
I'm getting
and the Roadrunners have fantastic jerseys also. It's yeah. I don't think I've ever seen people really not like Darcy Kemper's Kachina pads were. Yeah, I get butterflies just like thinking.
Oh
about
yeah,
it's pathetic,
yeah.
but it's they can do no wrong with jerseys ever. None of them. And this was just like a random third jersey that they made. It's not like this is like
it's just their new third jersey. They're gonna wear it 14 times through the season.
Yeah.
So I wore maroon myself because I was like, I want to look like that, until my jersey gets here.
That's funny.
So yeah, needless to say, just a quick shout out and stick tap to that design.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
My little brother revoked his longtime Chicago fanhood through their whole debacle, and he chose Coyotes, and I'm like, well, that's a good time to jump on that. And so he's just constantly sending me all the great gear that he gets to buy and wear, all their awesome swag. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. All of it.
Oh, yeah.
None of it is ugly.
Oh, not even close. No, you're absolutely right. They might not be the most talented team, but dang it, their jerseys are always the most beautiful. Something about it, man. Oh, it'll be here. I'm sure it will. And Allie and I really enjoy going to watching their games as well. So they're just kind of that team that we've taken under our wing and hope for nothing but the best for them.
Yeah.
Okay. So before this, we just want to make sure that everyone is aware 3 All-Stars that the Avalanche have, namely Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, and Mikko Rantanen, all 3 of which I think are quite deserving of it. They join in the Central Division Clayton Keller of the Coyotes, Seth Jones of the Blackhawks, Jason Robertson of the Stars, Kirill Kaprizov of the Minnesota Wild, UC Saros of the Predators, Vladimir Tarasenko of the Blues, Connor Hellebuck of the Jets, and Josh Morrissey also of the Jets in the Central Division. So that's the roster to keep an eye out for the Central Division.
Yeah.
Nice to see I believe
he's interesting.
It'll be fun. So don't forget, everyone, as an Avs fan, we like to cheer for the Central Division because that's where your team plays. I was wondering if my wife was going to bring this up. There is only one other team that has 3 All-Stars. That would be the New York Rangers. So in my wife's case, she might be looking more for the Metropolitan Division, but we're an Avalanche podcast, so we like the Avalanche. So
yeah, speaking of good jerseys, also.
Oh no, go ahead.
Those All-Star jerseys are.
My wife will most likely be getting one. They are amazing.
Yep, I love them.
They haven't done a good job for the last 5 years. It seems 6 years.
Yeah. Nope, they're good.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So, I think that's about it. So, Britt, I don't know if you have any additional notes or points you want to make.
I think it's a manageable week, and I think we will. I think we'll get through it fine. The hope is back. It was a little bleak there for a while, but it's nice that we can finally watch it come together. So yeah, I think that's everything.
Okay, good deal. Well, once again, guys, thank you so much for watching the Clusterpuck podcast, part of the MHRT network. We really do appreciate your guys' viewership, your comments. It's so much fun to talk Avs hockey every week. And I'm not kidding. I got the best co-host right here. I'm not kidding. Again, thank you, Britt, for that. It was an amazing gift. So we'll get you back on the other side for sure. Don't forget, everyone, to follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows such as the Clusterpuck podcast go live. You can also check out all the other shows within the network. Amazing shows, great stuff. If you like what you see here specifically, you can follow us at Clusterpuck Avs on Instagram and Twitter, the Clusterpuck podcast on Facebook, and you can email us at clusterpuckpodcast@gmail.com. Any last goodbyes, Britt?
Nope. Goodbye.
Okay, good deal. We'll see you next week, everyone. And don't forget, go Avs go.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
'Cause this party is